welcome back. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. And today we are going over my 2020 makeup favorites. And I tried really hard to narrow it down to 1 or 2 items per category, but I do have a few extras, particularly in the category of eyeshadow, because let's face it, that's so hard to narrow down. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, primer. My very favorite primer is the Surat Perfectionist Primer. And I love this because it gives my skin a little bit of a blurring effect. It's comfortable, it's water-based. I don't really like the heavy silicone feeling primers, so I like that this is water-based, and it really just cancels out any of that extra dewiness and tackiness that you get from sunscreen. So I definitely believe that you should always wear sunscreen, and this I think is the perfect step in between sunscreen and makeup application. So I like to put on my sunscreen, I wait 10 to 20 minutes, apply my primer, and then my foundation. Now let's move on to favorite foundations. Now, if I had to pick one favorite foundation for this year, and that would be the Jong Moisture Foundation in 012. And this is a great color match for me. It gives a super natural, no makeup look to the skin. So I absolutely love this. It's also, there's no fragrance. There are no artificial colors. There's no mineral oil, no parabens or alcohol either. And for me, the big thing is the fact that there is no fragrance. I really like that. And I just love the natural finish that we get from this particular foundation. Now, I can't go with just one foundation. So this is my very, very favorite, but there are a few I would also like to mention. If I had a better color match in the Suku, the cream foundation, this may have beat out the Jong. I really love this foundation. It's what I have on my skin today. I think it gives you a natural, flawless look. I mean, I do think you have more of a makeup look with this compared to the Jong. The Jong, you really can't tell that I have makeup on with that. Your skin just looks perfected. So it's a different style, but I really love the finish of this and how incredibly long wearing and comfortable this is on my skin. But the particular shades, I feel there isn't a perfect shade for me in these, so it gets knocked down a little bit, but you can see that the color match is still decent. When I'm trying to go super sophisticated and I want like a really polished look, I like the Clé de Peau Radiant Fluid Matte Foundation. I wear shade I-10, and I think this just gives you that more flawless matte look to your skin. It's not completely matte, it's not a flat matte. There's a little bit of a luminescence with it. I wouldn't say like dewiness, but you know, there's some radiance to it. So yeah, radiant matte. And I just think that this one looks very, very sophisticated on the skin. So when I have I don't have any now, but if I had a special occasion to go to, this would probably be my foundation of choice for that. And just one more foundation. This is the Westman Atelier Stick Foundation. I have shade N for neutral. And I just think this is a fantastic foundation, and it's a great color match for me. This is another great natural looking foundation. It's lightweight, and I really like to use this when I don't need a ton of coverage. I'm going for a natural look on my skin. So I think this is another one that's definitely worth a mention. Now for concealers, I had 2 picks. If I'm going for lightweight, not too much concealing, I really like this Chantecaille La Camouflage Stilo. I love the formula of this. It always has like some elasticity with it, so there's really no like cracking or creasing with this. So I really like that. And again, this is a great color match for me, which is hard to do, especially in concealers, because I am on the fair side. A lot of concealers either don't go light enough or the tones are a little off. So this is shade 1 that I use, and I think it is great. The packaging is okay. I think, you know, when I first got this, like the first month or 2 of using this, like I seriously had to click this a zillion times to get product up. It took a really long time. Now that I've used this for several months, it doesn't take as long, but still you want to click it and then you have to like wait like 10 seconds or so for the product to actually move up to the top. So I think the packaging could be improved on this, but I love this formula and the shade so much that it's definitely a win and a repurchase for me. I really, really like this one. When I want more coverage, I love the Pat McGrath concealer. So this is the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. I have shade L1, which is actually too light for me. So I usually mix that in with, well, it depends on the foundation, but usually I'll mix it in with this. This is the Sisley Phytosterns Eclat in shade 1, which is too dark. L2 is a better match for me in this, and that's what I would pick up next time, but I still have quite a bit of product to go through with this. But I think this is great for fuller coverage concealing, but you really want to go in with the tiniest amount possible. Do a thin layers with this, and you can build this up to get really full coverage without any like issues that you would get with many concealers. So it looks very natural and the texture is great. But again, if you use too much, if your layer is a little bit too thick or anything like that, it doesn't look so great then. So you really want to go in with the tiniest amount possible. And on that note, I think setting under the eyes, I don't set under the eyes all the time, but when I do, my favorite is this powder from Pat McGrath. So this came out with the concealer. This is the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder, and I have shade Light. There are several shades. I think it's cute that it's got the little mirror in here, and you can see that this was domed. I'm not sure if you can tell how flat it has gotten. I personally like to use this with my finger, so I just put some on my finger here, I tap it, and then swipe like that, and it really blurs the under eye area, and I think it just looks great. It's silky smooth, and this product will last me a really long time because that's all I use of it at one time. So I think this is a great under eye powder. Now moving on to face powders. My number one pick, my very favorite from this year, is the Sisley Phyto Poudre Compact, and I have shade 1 Rosy, and I can use this under my eyes. Again, I prefer the Pat McGrath for under the eyes, but you can see I actually like to use this with a face brush. So something like the Surratt face brush, or, you know, like something like the Z1 shape. I don't have the Z1, but, you know, something like that. I get a little bit on here and I dust that lightly over my face. It gives a little blurring and it just helps set everything. You can use this for setting or for finishing. I typically use this for setting. I don't always use a finishing powder. I also have a few powders that I would like to mention as well. And this is the Kojendo Brightening Moisture Powder. This powder is fantastic. So you open this up, you've got a little brush here. This is the powder. Again, I like to apply mine with a brush. As you can see, I have not used this brush at all. I use my own. And this adds just, let's say you've got like a dry skin day and your skin's just not looking its best, but you still want a little bit of powder. This is great for that. So it gives your skin like a perfected look, and yet it's not drying. It doesn't look powdery on your skin. So I think this is another great product. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Chantecaille Eclat Dew face powder. This came out for the 2019 holiday collection, and I love this. I actually have this on my face today. Anytime I have like a bright blush or anything like this. So first of all, you can see how light this is. This is going to leave a little bit of a white cast on your skin if you've got a deep skin tone. So just so you know, I'm not even sure if you can really see it there, but there's that little white reflection there. That's from this powder. So for me, I can use this to tone down things that don't work as well, because I often have the issue of having things look a little bit too dark. So this really works for that. And then the finish on this is incredible. I typically use this during the cooler months of the year. And, you know, because it's not a heavy powder, but it's not as light as like a loose powder or something either. So I typically use this during cooler months, and you can see it gives this like a velvety finish. You can use this for setting or finishing. I typically use it for finishing powder. I used it today, and you can see how blurred I was able to get this blush. This is the Wayne Goss Vivid Azalea blush, by the way, and I applied way too much of it. It was way too pink. But this really helped correct that. And I just think it's a gorgeous finish. Just a couple more that I'd like to mention. I think the Givenchy Prisma Libra loose powders are underrated, and I really like them, and I think they're one of the best loose powders on the market. They come in a lot of color options. This one here is the shade number 1, Mousseline Pastel. And I like how you can decant these into the lid. You still have your 4 colors separated. So if you want to go in with just one particular shade for color correction, that works. And then, so I do that sometimes. I will often use one of the shades, like the purple. I often use like under the eye specifically. So I like that. I think, you know, it's just such a great loose powder. So this would be my favorite loose powder. And then another finishing powder that I can't go without mentioning would be Guerlain Meteorites. And this is the Golden Bee one. It doesn't really matter which color you get, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a difference between them, but I'm saying that I love the Meteorite pearls so much that I think, you know, pretty much all of the colors are just fantastic. So this is the one from the holiday collection, which is basically a sparkly version of the light one. If I had to pick one, I would pick the light one because, well, one, it's permanently there, and I just think it's a great overall color for me. So normally I think it comes in, is it light, medium, and deep possibly, or there might be a 4th shade. Oh, so that's always fun, spilling them. But anyway, the light one would be my number 1 favorite, but I like quite a few of these. And even the deeper ones I can still use. I just usually concentrate them more in my cheek area. And I think they're great to give you a really nice airbrushed finish. I like to buff them into my skin for a bit more of a like satin finish to my skin. Now the Meteorite pearls, like these ones here, I wouldn't really use as a traditional highlight, but the sparkling version for the holiday, I could go in with a highlighting brush and just take the concentrated bits of powder that are either like they're on the bottom or on the side here, and just dust that there, and that will work as a traditional highlight as well. Now let's move on to highlights while we're at it. And I do have a number 1 pick, and I bet most of you could guess what that is. If you guessed the Guerlain Meteorites Pearl Dust palette, you were definitely right. So this is my favorite highlighting palette because not only are all of the shades beautiful as a traditional highlight, they also can work as eyeshadow. You know, you can mix them into, I'm not sure if it's technically recommended for lips, but I do mix them into lip products as well. But, you know, it's just a very versatile product, and it lasts forever. Like, seriously, using this every day for months, you can see how much product is there. It still looks pretty darn new. So I think it's a fantastic, fantastic palette. I absolutely love this. This would be my number 1 pick, followed by the Pat McGrath highlight. So I really love this highlight. I know some people didn't care for it as much because, just like me, I was expecting something from Pat McGrath to be really blingy, but this is actually very subtle on my skin, and I just think it gives the perfect amount of subtle shine to it. The tint to it is beautiful. It swatches deeply, but it goes on lightly. And I think all of the grooves in here really help because this is like a firm pressed highlight. So I think that really helps, you know, you able to pick up the product and put it on in a soft manner. Gorgeous highlight. And I do have a few honorable mentions. This one here is the Chanel Duo de Camellias. This is technically limited edition, but it's still available on the website. And you can see you've got the silver and gold mix essentially. And sometimes I'll use one shade or the other, but most of the time I use them mixed. And I absolutely love this. I think it's very versatile. One thing to note, by the way, with the Guerlain highlight, the one that looks white in here is actually gold. So if you're looking for something a little bit whiter or more silvery, that is going to be a better option from the Duo de Camellias. So you can see swatched on here that it's really much more of a pale gold instead. I just wanted to mention a couple of cream product highlights as well. So we've got the Guerlain Terracotta Stick. This is the shade Nude, and if I'm looking for something a little blingier, I really like this, but you can also put it on subtly. I like to just use my finger and tap it on. And I think this gives a really nice glow. And I actually find the Surratt one to be a little bit more subtle, but again, this is another favorite. This is the shade Diamante, which is my favorite from here. I use this one a lot. And again, just like with the Guerlain, I like to use my finger and apply it. So these are my two favorite stick ones. And then I also wanted to mention this one from Rituel de Fille, and this is Ice Bow. And I just really like this highlight. So you can see it's got a little bit of iridescence to it, and it's just nice, subtle, and it's one that I reach for quite a bit. So this is another favorite. I have to say it was really hard narrowing those down. There are more that I really love, but those would be my absolute top picks for 2020. Now, moving on to blush products, I have to mention the Burberry Essential Glow palette. And this kind of goes with contour, blush, and highlight because it's all in here. This is a fantastic palette. This is the Fair to Light. I also have the medium to dark. I love both of them. For my complexion, however, you know, this one is obviously works better. This contour shade, the cream one, I really like it, and surprisingly it works so well. I just dab a tiny bit here, and then I actually prefer to blend it in with my fingers, but use a brush as well. The blush shades are beautiful, the highlights are beautiful. It's definitely a favorite. Now, this palette was really hard to find when it first came out, but it's permanent and it has been restocked on the Burberry site several times, and they are going to be keeping this around. So, you know, it's definitely something I would look into if you're interested. Now, before we move on to blushes, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is my very favorite bronzer. It's the Gucci bronzer in shade 1. First of all, you've got the gorgeous packaging. You can swing this back. This comes up. You've got a half moon brush in here. The color on this is fantastic for me. It has some redness to it that works well with my skin tone. I absolutely love it. It is fragranced. It's a refillable compact. So there are some pros and negatives there, but I absolutely love this, and it puts all of my other bronzers, you know, to the side. So I don't have any backups. This would be my #1 all-time favorite bronzer. Now for blush, it's really hard to pick just one blush. There are quite a few that I love, but one of my all-time favorites here is the By Terry #1 in Platonic Blonde. You really don't need a lot of product with this. It's that beautiful, like peachy flush look. And unfortunately, I think it's been discontinued. I contacted By Terry and never got a response back. This was months ago at this point, but I can't find it on any retailers. It's not on their site or anything, and it's out of stock on all of the other retailers. So pretty sure it's been discontinued, but I really do love this blush. So if you have it, great, but if you don't, I'm really sorry. Another favorite is this Chanel blush that came out this year. This is 330 Rose Petillant, and it was a limited edition, and I don't know if it's still available here in the US or not, but I absolutely love this shade. It's more of that bright pop of pink shade on your cheeks. I think it's gorgeous. So this is definitely a favorite for 2020. Now I have a few more blushes that I'd like to share. And first we have these from Suku. So this is the individual in 04, and I reach for this one all the time. I really love it. I think it's their best-selling blush shade, but I can totally see why. In addition, I also wanted to include one of the cheek palettes. This is 101, the first one that came out, and this one works a little bit better for me overall than the 102, but I really love the blush shades of the 102 also. So I don't think you can go wrong with either, but all 6 of these shades work well for me in the 101, and the highlights in the 102 don't work as well for me. So this one won. And just a few more. We've got this Givenchy. This was the spring packaging, but it's a permanent shade in the regular packaging. This is 03 Spice. This is the Prisma blush from Givenchy. And you can see you've got this duo. I always mix them together, and it just gives this really nice light look to your skin. And it enhances your cheeks, but it doesn't look like you've got a lot of blush on. So I think it's a great product. It's definitely one of my favorites. I love this one. And my last powder blush I want to mention is actually the Chanel Holiday Blush, which I really almost didn't get. I'm so glad I did because it just looks so great on. I absolutely love it. I don't know if I'll wear it as much during like the spring and summer months because it is a little bit warmer in tone. I usually go for something a little bit brighter, but I absolutely love it. It's sophisticated. It gives a subtle highlight to the skin as well. And I apply it with a light fluffy brush, but I just think it's a gorgeous shade. I totally forgot to mention, I also wanted to include the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Stick in Chouchette. So this is a cream blush formula. Obviously it's a little bit firmer in the stick form, and I love this. I love this shade. It's kind of like a peachy pink shade, more natural looking, and I think it's a great product, and I wanted to include this in my 2020 favorites. Now for brows, I really love this Gucci pencil. I have shade 03 Chatin. I'll probably pick up a different shade next time, but I really love how natural this looks because it has that powder finish. And then I love securing it with the Surratt brow pomade. So this has been my favorite combination this year. Now, if I'm trying to go a little bit faster and I don't feel like doing a two-step process, my favorite is still the Tom Ford lash, whatever it's called, the fiber lash tint. I ran out of mine. I have to actually get a new one, but the fiber brow gel, that's what it is. So yeah, that would still be my favorite for a one-step process. Now for lip liners, I have a few I would like to mention. The ones that I actually use the very most are these two from Pat McGrath. So we have Done Undone, which is a pinky nude, and Half Naked, which just came out this summer, which is more of a lighter version of Done Undone, and I use both of them. So here's Half Naked. You can see I really need to sharpen these pencils here. And here's Done Undone. It's just slightly deeper. But these are perfect for me for my lips, you know, when I'm going with a more natural, lighter lip color. But if I want something a little bit more brown, I really love the Sisley lip liner in Nude. So this one is great. This is dual ended. You've got the pencil on one side. And I have to say, this is probably like the best lip liner formula. It's a little bit of a drier pencil that really just stays put well. Then you've got a brush on the other side, which you can see I've never used that. And then when I wear reds, my very favorite lip liner is the Chanel Brun Carmen number 188. And I have quite a few Chanel lip liners. I love the new formula of the lip liner, but this one definitely stands out for me for reds. I absolutely love it. And before we move on to eyeshadow palettes, I want to go over mascara. And my very favorite one is the Surratt Noir Lash Tint. And this, you know, is better for like every day. You know, I don't think it's great for a glam eye look. You know, in that case, I would go for something a bit more volumizing and lengthening than this. But I love this to give you more natural separated lashes. You can build this up and get it to be more glam with more layers. I just personally think that there are other mascaras better suited to that, but this would be my favorite by far. So I've already picked up a backup of this, and you do need an oil-based remover for this, but you know, I've been using this for a couple of months now, and even though it's, you know, dried, it's a little bit more dry than it was when I first started it, still there's no flaking, no issues. This stuff does not wear off. You know, it looks great all day, no matter how long I leave it on. So I absolutely love this, and definitely my favorite. And eyeliners, this is my very favorite eyeliner. This is the Chantecaille Luster Glide Silk Infused Eyeliner in Olive Brocade. And I have gone over this several times before, but it's an olive green with gold sparkle in there. I absolutely love this shade. It's not new for me. I have bought this for a couple of years now. So I absolutely love that. And, you know, I have many other eyeliners that I like as well, but that's definitely my number one. For liquid, I actually want to go with the Chanel Liline eyeliners. So this one here is number 518 Mauve Maytel, and I pick these mostly for the color. I actually prefer the applicator on, you know, either the Tom Ford style or the Surratt style, where you've got a finer brush tip and the liquid actually comes through the brush tip. This one though, it's got so many great colors, and I picked these as my favorite liquid because I also use them for liquid eyeshadow. So I think these are great for liner and liquid eyeshadows, and they've got some really great colors right now. And a lot of the colors are limited edition. So just a heads up there, I don't know how long they'll last, but I absolutely love them. So here's the Move Me Tell. I actually have this one on today. Moving on to eyeshadows, let's start off with liquids since we're coming from the liquid eyeliner. And I have to say, I really enjoy the Natasha Denona Chromium liquid eyeshadows. My Danessa Myricks ones I've ordered, and I ordered December 1st, but they still have not arrived. So, I can't compare them or include them in here, but for a liquid multi-chrome shadow, these are my favorites. And I really like this formula. It works great as an eyeliner and everything as well. So I think these are great. For more neutral liquid eyeshadows, I love the Chanel ones that they came out with during the spring, the Ombre Premier Locks. And I love all of these. I love them for all over the eyes. I love them for eyeliner, and I use them quite a bit. This is rayon. You can even use this as a cheek highlight and so forth. But I think these are a fantastic formula, and I really hope they expand the shade range. For cream eyeshadows, my favorite is going to be the Chantecaille Mermaid Eye Color in Triton. It's just this great taupey shade, and it's got some shimmer in there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And this is like a light application, but you can build this up, and I just think it's a wonderful cream eyeshadow. These are going to be more of that like drier cream that kind of dries down to a powder, so it's not like thick and creamy or anything like that, but I absolutely love those. And then if I want something more sparkly, I really love the Victoria Beckham in Mink. And I love this particular shade so much because when you blend this out, you see like warm brown tones, but when you build it up, you actually see like cooler gray tones. And I think that kind of dual color story there is what makes this really unique, and the amount of shimmer and sparkle on this is incredible. So I really like this one as well. This video is getting a little bit too long now, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm going to show you my very favorite eyeshadow contender for 2020 and lipstick or lip contender as well. And then I'm going to have a separate video that goes over my favorite eyeshadow palettes and lip products for this year. So if I had to pick one, I think the very best thing that came out eyeshadow wise for 2020 is the new formula of the Dior Quince. And I think my favorite out of the ones I've tried is 669 Soft Cashmere. And I absolutely love this for neutrals, and it's got cooler tone neutrals in there as well, which I really love. And I just think it's a great product, and I think the formula itself is awesome. So this made my #1 pick, but I have so many wonderful palettes that I will share with you in another video. For lips, my very favorite lip pick is actually what I have on right now, and this is the Suku liquid lipstick, and this is the Fog formula. I have on shade 103, which is not available anymore, but I love this formula, and they have many great colors that came out. So this would be my #1 new lip product. So we're gonna stop there for now, and stay tuned for another video featuring favorite eyeshadow palettes and lipsticks or lip products. And I hope you like this. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Have a great day and stay safe and healthy.